Next presentation is our good friend Dr. Vilas Tonapi. No need of introduction for him. Uh, he was the director of this IIMR Hyderabad, and before that he was the head of the division of seed science and technology. And he will be talking on very important topic, that is the export potential of millet crops improvement research in the year of international millet.
Good morning, very learned gathering. I have my colleagues, teachers, and also the fraternity from the seed industry. I am talking about a group of crops which have gained the resurgence today. In fact, I have been part of this story for the last 35 years, in the last 10 years as a director of the Institute of Millets, trying to put together a platform to showcase Indian millets to the global fora. So in this scenario, the experience gained indicates two things. Anything you would like to bring on to export market, you need to have two-pronged strategy. One is the strategy of breeding that is in line with what the industry needs. Number two, the forgotten crops, to get a place in the food plate, you need to create the awareness. Number three, you need to convince people to change the lifestyle and the food habit. It is the perception and the behavior that you need to address. So these were the three takeaway points that I could learn, and that's how now, under the leadership of Prime Minister, it has been taken. This year the International Year of Millets is being celebrated. So we are addressing group of crops, 9 or 10 of them. Sorghum and pearl millet, the industry knows already. The hybrids, in fact, the research in these crops, in fact, it built the seed industry. Whether sorghum and hybrid in 60s, the first hybrids that came, that was the foundation that built the industry basically. But today we are talking, along with these two crops, another 9 crops: kodo, foxtail, little, proso, barnyard, brown top. So adding together to the food security, when we take a component of nutrition security to be added into it, then we need to go for the crops that need to be thought in a different plane. A dimension needs to come, what breeding strategies we need to really address. So in this particular scenario, 131 countries grow these crops. They are staple foods. About 56 to 70 crore people, for them it is the staple food. So this is the scenario. Basically, 717 lakh hectares is the area globally, dominated by Africa and India in between, and the production. So if you take the global average, India, we have a much better global average, but all put together, the crops restricted to dryland and marginal conditions. So augmenting more production for nutrition security is a challenge, but wherein we need to think how we can bring them to better endowed areas, irrigated areas, where the yield gets multiplied by 4 times. So that's how the profitability could be built into the kitty of the farmer and to the industry basically. So this is the story. In 50s and 60s, we had 35 million hectares. Now we have 15 million hectares. So about 20 million hectares, basically it has decreased now, but the yields have increased by 2.5 times. So it is the impact of crop improvement efforts that has happened. That's where we need to be looking at how we can increase the contribution of these crops to the food basket, which was 20% earlier. Today it is 6%. So when nutrition component or nutrition security we are talking about, then I think these crops become more important. So individually to the different crops, in sorghum, again the same story, but the yield change is important. 31.3% total gain, though the area has declined almost 50%. So we have 31.3% positive change in terms of yield. In case of Rabi sorghum put together, it is 77% gain. it is the dryland area. So this is what is really important thing. We need to look at how the germplasm has been exploited, drought tolerance has been built in, and the disease resistance scenario has been incorporated. Similarly, in case of pearl millet, you could see about the change is not much, but probably the expanse and the canvas of the area in different ecosystem is very high, though this 10% change, positive change still is contributing. And moreover, in terms of maintaining or building the new varieties every 3 years, 4 years is an important aspect, and downy mildew is really one of the important aspect we need to be looking at. Finger millet again, we gained about 20% genetic gain, basically almost 10% genetic gain here. So how to build in the varietal portfolio, product portfolio, and nutritional portfolio embedded together into the canvas globally is one effort that is going on today. And similarly about the all small millets put together, as I said in the scenario, this is the 40% yield change if we think it is the positive impact of the crop improvement scenario that has happened. So this is the canvas of millets in India, all crops everywhere, and they are regional niches basically. So this is where we need to build around a kind of value chain in each of these areas so that we can network them and position them globally. So this is the Indian contribution. Kodo, Little, Barnyard, we contribute 100% our Indian this thing. Then finger millet and pearl millet about 50% from Indian context. Sorghum about 7% because ours are all white sorghums. So red sorghums we need to diversify as an industry, export potential and the industrial usages could be one of the important things. Foxtail and proso again are one of the important things we need to be looking at. So we developed an outline paper which is the blueprint for the International Year of Millets and its celebration to the PMO. So it is available online, anybody can download it. So it really elucidates what happened, what is happening now, what should happen in future. So this is what is the important agenda. FAO till 2030, when we are addressing a footprint of nutrition security. SDG 2, zero hunger, SDG 3, good health and well-being, SDG 8, decent work and economic growth, 12, that is the responsible consumption and production, then 13 is the climate action, the climate resilience, and 17, partnership for the goals. So building a global coalition on the edifice of food security embedded with nutrition security is an important aspect the total scenario would like to address. So Indian system built in 7 sutras, we can say. Production productivity increase. I said in the beginning, bringing them to better endowed areas. We can augment any production for global export. We are already leading in the world in terms of millet production, but it could be multiplied geometrically and because the demand is increasing by 148%. So that is what is the trigger we need to be really looking at. Then value addition, entrepreneurship, awareness, international outreach, policies. So in the last 10 years, all these 7 components were worked on, and that's how the total value chain building efforts has taken place. So consumption trends, if we take, there is no data latest available, but we were consuming about 3 kgs per capita. At that time in 70s what we say, but today it is about less than half a kg, right? So, but these government statistics available, but the today's trend of health and wellness component were put together, the trend is increasing in term towards consumption. That data is not available, but the fact is the total production available in India today, what is available for market, free market is only 42%, 60% is consumed in-house. So that is where the need to increase production and productivity to cater to the increasing domestic need and also for the international exports. So this is the total spectrum of production and consumption scenario across. You can really look at these slides at a later point of time. So India dominates and Karnataka, the state dominates in this particular scenario. Then again across the globe, different production scenarios. This we can look at. Now we talked many of these things. It all started with quinoa, which was brought from South America from nowhere, and everybody knows it. So it is a share marketing basically. So marketing the grains which are native to India to a global platform requires the kind of authenticity and validated scientific data to show that they are good for your health. That's how the total trend today is on the trigger of lifestyle diseases and what is good for you and the fiber containing food material and gluten free. So these are the 5 components that is having the trigger, and that's where the positioning is happening on these particular lines. Then the second component is the climate resilience. Look at the 3 graphs what I have put it here. First one is the water requirement. Hardly 300 to 400 millimeter of water to complete the life cycle. Most of them are short duration crops. They can fit into any cropping system, whether horticultural, vegetable, or the field and commercial crop systems. Then second is the environment friendly crops, in the sense the kind of input usage is very less, and the kind of treasury in terms of the local production systems. And third is the evolution of carbon dioxide, the methane, the climate change scenario what is contributing with these crops is really less. That's where they become climate friendly. And other is in the climate change scenario, in the simulated environments, when the nutrition change in grains were studied with the elevated carbon dioxide and temperature, it has been indicated that millets nutrition dense situation doesn't change, but other crops do change in terms of the grain scenario. So this is also one of the components we need to be looking at. Therefore, all these facts put together, I am not going into the details of, because I have mapped the total life productivity, the challenges, the crop improvement varieties, the varieties available, and what is that we need to do address the yield contributing factors. So if we can really do that, I think as an industry, if we can take together, we can do greater efforts to address the production increase in these crops. And again, the kind of pollination systems existing in these crops. Sorghum and pearl millet, we have mastered that. But in small millets, what is happening? They are very small spikelets. Their flowering behavior is different. For example, finger millet flowers 3 o'clock in the morning. We need to have the systems to get them flowered early in the morning. When you go to the office, we can cross them. So these are all the challenges, and even some of the things are clistogamous. Kodo millet, for example. We don't know whether I crossed it or before crossing itself the pollination happened. So everything is within this spikelet. So these challenges are there. We have in the last 10 years tried to master this part of this thing, and the crossing methods have been standardized today. And again, similar situation, so I am not going into the details of this. You can read through. Probably it would be a guiding principle probably to put together. The breeding strategies, hybrids the industry needs. Position today is in finger millet we have GMS based hybrid. Visual markers are available, and foxtail millet we have been addressing that. These two are the crops where the hybridization is possible. We are looking at through different cutting edge tools, induction of male sterility systems. So a long way to go, but probably this is the way we need to really address the systems. So all these things put together, sorghum we always considered out of millet earlier because being a great millet. Sorghum, pearl millet, again categorizing into kharif and rabi sorghum. So I would say in sorghum we need to look at breeding hybrids which are adaptable for all seasons. So that is one of the important things. Kharif and rabi bloods are different basically. Rabi things doesn't flower in kharif. So kharif things flower in rabi. So that is where if we have the same hybrid which would be cultivated in all the 3 seasons, probably industry will have a better advantage. So selling the same hybrid suitable for all the seasons. So that is another aspect of it. And product profile in sorghum and pearl millet, we can build the 1G sweets juice based biofuel systems, both pearl millet and sorghum. And second is say 2G high biomass systems converting into the biofuel. Then already the cultivars are available, technologies are available. Then forage sorghum leads the way, and we have two hybrids which constitute 30% of the market share today, almost about 2.5 crore rupees. That is what is the thing. So some of the things are licensed to the industry. We are working with the industry. So that's where the collaboration with the institutions need to happen. Then the small millets again, male sterility system is important. Probably in collaborative way, look at the developments that are happening, and we can lead the way forward. So future research thrusts basically drought, downy mildew, grain mold in sorghum. Then again the coming to the pearl millet, downy mildew and adaptation to harsh climate in Rajasthan. That is where one of the important things, where about 5 million hectares, what we are looking at, is at stake, and I think good hybrids for that particular climate. Then coming to small millets, genomic resources exploitation has not happened, and we need to look at it, and biofortification. Third is the important aspect is the quality of the grain, because yield increase through grain size increase. If you increase the grain size, your nutrition dense scenario will decline. So let us not attempt increasing the grain size, but better attempting the grain number and better agronomy and good agricultural practices. That is the way forward for increasing the productivity. Then blast, shoot fly and tolerance to drought are the three components. So entire thing put together, we need to be addressing intervarietal improvement, intravarietal improvement. Both things are very, very important. Before we get the hybrids, but probably varietal improvement is the way forward. Then mutation breeding, because in some of the crops diversity is less. To create the diversity, mutation breeding is the another aspect which we are looking at. So all put together globally, so the seed industry scenario which you all know, probably as it is increasing, also reflects upon today's need of introducing new crops in trend with what the seed industry is looking at. So we are talking about an area of ecosystem which is dryland, where access to seed is not there. Quality seeds are not available. Farmer saved seeds are very prominent. In this particular scenario, why not, apart from hybrids, OPs at this point of time still could be part of the industry scenario. So this is the one area we need to be looking at. Even if you bifurcate in terms of the acreages, 60 million hectares basically of dryland area, how we can make available the quality seeds? If we are addressing millets per se, what is that we are trying to do? Probably some component of social impact research and also contribution to access to quality seeds is one component. Probably few companies could come forward, we can be contributing to this initiative of millets. Now middle class is the trigger basically. The consumption trends towards health and wellness have increasing, and middle class base is increasing across the globe. So this is the trigger which millets are going to capitalize, and we feel 148 to 210% growth in the next 7 years. That is what is the health and wellness industry related to millets put together. So also we need to capitalize across the globe, because 131 countries we are growing them. In this scenario, what is that is required? For example, if we go towards America, sustain and improve yield gains is an important aspect. Then come to South America, yield gaps we need to address. Then again, sustaining and improving the yield gains across the North Americas. Then Africa is the improving and bring more land under cultivation. So Africa is the one thing we need to address, and millets are the basis there basically. So that is where we need to be looking at Indian experience of millet revolution could be part of the African revolution, and we need to be hand holding there. So therefore huge resources we need to be addressing, and that is where the global market and the global demand need to be put in the next 5 slides, sir. I will be completing my this thing. So I would take 5 minutes to complete that. So increased demand basically is in the Indo-Pacific region, right? So increased income that is happening in the middle class is the trigger. Basically, as I said, it is going to be looking at the total demand in terms of the millets. Now coming to the different millets, basically pearl millet, sorghum, ragi and small millets all put together. In today's price, you can estimate the values. Now if you want to estimate the seed demand, put your seed prices 100 rupees or 200 rupees for an OP together, you would come up with the total market size. So that is where you would like to expand is an important aspect we need to be looking, because figures are not available. Based on the acreages, the areas, I have tried to put together the figures. So these are the virgin figures, you can say. You can really use it to analyze the facts. Then coming to world area production and seed requirements. Across the globe, sorghum in 102 countries, pearl millet in 32 countries, proso in 28 countries, different countries put together. I have not put together top 10 countries if we can take. This is what is the total seed required globally, and this is the total production area. Based on that, one can see the total canvas available to the industry, and then the program planning could be done. Then exports. So apart from seed, there is a huge demand for the value-added products. So India traditionally is the commodity exporter, but Indian export system doesn't differentiate between seed and grain. So that is what is an important aspect we need to be addressing with the ABIDOR and Government of India. Now, coming to the export per se, millets are exported to grow over $14 billion at a CAGR of 4.6% during 19 to 27%, between 2019 to 27. So it is expected that about 6% CAGR we can look at in the next 5 years. That is the total growth this thing. The another vertical is organic millets, expected to grow over 29.7%. So at a CAGR of 5.6%. Then coming to Asia Pacific, basically it is the dominant market, about 40.9% of market share. So wherein Middle East and Europe about 32%. So all put together 14.1% growth rate. So this is where the total canvas and the trigger available for us today. Then Asia Pacific markets all in the range of about 8 to 21%, starting from China to Japan, South Korea. China, we need to be looking at the importer of millets. It imports 10 million tons of red grain sorghum from USA for its whiskey manufacturing called as Baiju. Why can't we have a red portfolio sorghum here and export it from here? So that is one thing we need to be looking at. Then coming to the Middle East, again it's the huge demand, Indian diaspora everywhere. So that is the another aspect which we about the market. It is about 3,015 million US dollars and expected to be about 4,559 million dollars basically. So different countries put together 9 to 14% from UAE to others, Saudi Arabia, all these things the growth market. European markets again 10 to 26%. That is the kind of growth, and that's where we need to be looking at. And North America about 11 to 12% growth rate. Then South and Central American regions about 3.8 to 4%. So there is a canvas of demand available, but how we really cater to the needs, whether it is a seed or value-added product, and how we position our products with good agricultural practices so that they are amenable for good import into other countries. So that is the one aspect we need to be looking at. So this is the table, existing market, and the demand across different countries, which you can go through, which is increasing across years. Then potential countries where we need to be really looking at so that position of what they want and how we can really export to them is the another this one. So all this thing put together, finally, the demand is for seed, grain per se, as the gluten-free market and the health and wellness industry, then biofuels, then the feed, then fodder, because fodder is the biggest livestock security what we are talking about, starch and potable alcohol. So how we can diversify these, build a niche around the industry in each of these commodities is one thing we need to be looking at. So finally, total production, we have about 16 million tons today, for example, yearly. So total value of export is about 228 to 248 million US dollars, rupees. Then value of the domestic consumption is 88,148 crore, 88,140 crores. Total value of value addition of millet is 3,966 crores, about 500 to 600 startups put together. Total value is about 1,27,826 crores. So this is the kind of canvas we can really look at. So some projections we have tried to work it out from 2022 to 2050. So you can really look at how the changes could happen. So some of the pictures of millet, sorghum, the pearl millet, finger millet, barnyard, proso, oxtail. So why we should go for it is their health benefits from celiac diseases to antihypertensive properties, obesity reduction to anemia control, and beneficial allergic this thing, the nutritional profile which is really rich. So making the millet mighty how we want to do, because it's all collective effort, we need to be doing it, but industry needs to opt them in for the climate change scenario and the drought scenario. So Prime Minister is leading the millet momentum. So food processing and value addition, he says, are the important aspect which we have tried to give the impetus. Probably next 5 years will tell the resultant story that could happen. So value addition, you name it, what is available in rice and wheat is now available in millets basically. So this is what is I would like to say. So thank you very much for all.
Sir, thank you very much for excellent presentation. In fact, under the leadership of Vilas, processing industry developed like anything. I think you'd have highlighted that. Thank you very much.